Hey, what is up, guys? Tyler here with Secure Team. We have a brand new finding. Something very strange was just spotted up in space by cameras on the International Space Station. Now, this was originally discovered by a fellow UFO research channel by the name of StreetCap1. We've mentioned him many times before. Be sure to check out his channel. And as you're seeing in this footage here in these still images, for a split moment, as we're watching the Earth rotate in the distance, we have this beautiful shot here. We see very quickly something pass by. I mean, in a split second, because things up in space are moving extremely fast. But this object was a little bit more strange than the usual satellites that we might see going by in the distance, because this object is glowing bright red, which is indeed something very different from what we normally see out in space. You're seeing some still images of that here. And the first thing I want to point out is just look how bright this thing is. Extremely bright, giving off this, this glowing red aura as we see it moving past the camera, lightning speed. And the reason that this clip is so special, and is the reason I wanted to show you guys this today, is the fact that when we're talking about these bright glowing red objects out in space, this reminded me of a very infamous, and still to this day, unexplained UFO encounter that occurred once again in space and by astronauts who actually saw this thing and snapped photos of it during what is now known as the 1973 Skylab 3 incident. So for those of you who don't know, the Skylab was a 100-ton orbital research and observation platform consisting of an airlock module, docking adapter, orbital workshop, and a solar and terrestrial telescopic observatory called the Apollo Telescope Mount. Orbiting the Earth at an altitude of 440 kilometers, Skylab provided 10,000 cubic feet of habitable living space pressurized to 5 psi, allowing 3-man flight crews to conduct NASA's first real in-depth studies into the effects of long-duration spaceflight on the human body. In addition to microgravity biomedical research, Skylab also served as an orbital observation platform, allowing the astronauts to conduct a variety of exo-atmospheric solar studies and Earth surveillance operations. During 1973, there were 3 separate NASA flight crews that rode in the Saturn 1B booster into orbit, then rendezvousing with the Skylab and occupying the space station for a total of 171 days. On July 28, 1973, mission commander Alan Bean, pilot Jack Lausma, and science pilot Owen Garriott began their Skylab 3 mission, becoming the second flight crew to live and work aboard the space station. During their 59 days in space, all 3 crew members orbited the Earth 858 times, conducting a variety of experiments and using Skylab's wide array of instruments and cameras to study our Sun and the Earth in ways not possible before. At approximately 1635 GMT on Mission Day 55, the Skylab 3 crew congregated in the ward room to eat their lunch and discuss a procedures review of the day's flight plan. The lunch break also afforded the astronauts the opportunity to gaze out of the wardroom window, the largest viewing point in the Skylab station. As the Skylab was passing over the continent of Africa, PLT Jack Lausma noticed a bright red object outside of the window, visible well above the Earth's horizon. For over 10 minutes, the crew observed and photographed this bright red UFO, noting that its light intensity was oscillating between bright and dim in 10-second intervals. You're seeing the images of this UFO here. Finally, at 1646, as their orbit was passing near Madagascar, both Skylab and the UFO crossed the sunset terminator into darkness, and visual contact was lost. Throughout the duration of the UFO sighting, Skylab was in a, quote, blackout period, and thus no radio contact with the MOCR in Houston was possible. The first official report of this UFO sighting over the public net came from Skylab some 4.5 hours later, when Bean and Lausma referred to the object as a, quote, satellite. You're seeing that transcript here. In the Skylab post-mission technical crew debriefing documentation, the astronauts spoke about this object further, stating, and I quote, "Do you want to talk about that satellite? I saw a couple of satellites that appeared like a satellite would on Earth. I saw one that was not like the one you would see on Earth, so why don't you mention it?" Okay, about a week or 10 days before recovery, we were still waiting for information to be supplied to us about the identification. Jack first noticed this rather large red star out of the wardroom window. Upon close examination, it was much brighter than Jupiter or any of the other planets. It had a reddish hue to it, even though it was well above the horizon. The light from the sun was not passing close to the Earth's limb at that time. We observed it for about 10 minutes prior to sunset. It was slowly rotating because it had a variation in brightness. As I was saying, we observed it for about 10 minutes until we went into darkness, and it also followed us into darkness about 5 seconds later. From the 5 to 10 second delay in its disappearance, we surmised that it was not more than 30 to 50 nautical miles from our location. We never saw it in any earlier or succeeding orbits, and we'd be quite interested in having its identification established. Commander Alan Bean also kept an in-flight personal diary during his Skylab flight where he briefly references this UFO encounter, saying, and I quote, "Out of the wardroom window, we saw a bright red light with a bright dim period of 10 seconds. It got brighter and drifted along with us for 20 minutes or more. It also was moving relative to the stars. It may have been very near. It was the brightest object we've seen." Now here's the strange part. According to the NORAD SSN Space Object Catalog tracking data, no known satellites or orbital debris were anywhere near Skylab during this encounter. Now, what this crew saw out the window that day was most certainly a UFO. And although there were some inconsistencies about how long they actually witnessed this UFO, where in one report they stated seeing the object for about 10 minutes. However, in Alan Bean's in-flight diary, he wrote just a few hours later that the object drifted along with them for 20 minutes or more. Despite this, they did witness this large, glowing red UFO that was no more than 50 nautical miles from their location. The shape of this object does not look like any satellite we have ever launched into space. Furthermore, there was no documented satellites nor space debris anywhere near their location during this sighting. And the Skylab 3 UFO encounter remains to this day unexplained and one of the most mysterious space-based sightings that we've ever had the pleasure of reporting on, and is only one of many, countless UFO encounters that have occurred in the hundreds of space missions that we've spoken about on this channel. Many of those you can find in our past videos, and many more we will be posting in future videos. But yet again, here we are with another perfect example of an object in space that may be or may not be related to this red glowing UFO that was just spotted above Earth by the International Space Station. But what we can say is that there is a range of activity happening above our planet that NASA has been keeping us in the dark about for years, and that countless astronauts have witnessed. So with that, I will leave it up to you guys. Big thanks to StreetCap1 for his eagle eye in catching this strange object on the ISS. Let me know what you guys think, and be sure to stay tuned. I've got a lot more coming. And again, I want to reiterate that due to recent changes by YouTube, being subscribed to a channel is no longer enough for you to get notifications when a channel that you're subscribed to posts a new video. In order to get notifications when we post a new video, you must go to our channel's main page and then head over to our subscribe button, where next to it you will see a little bell-shaped icon. you must click on that little bell in order to receive notifications. So be sure to head over to our main page if you haven't already. Click on that little bell, and we will see you back here very, very soon. So hope you guys are all having a happy holiday, and I'll see you guys back here in just a bit. Stay safe, guys.